Hello and welcome back. If you've been to this channel before, you may have noticed already that I am in the middle of a 2025 declutter challenge where I am trying to declutter at least 144 items each month of this year. And in my initial video, I shared with you at least 4 ways that you could save money by decluttering, which is sort of counterintuitive. But there are really important things that you will learn by doing a declutter challenge that will help you to save money. But more on that in that video. I'm not going to reshare that here. Today, what I want to do is bring you up to date for the end of January. You're going to see, did I hit my goal or didn't I? Did I fail or did I succeed? And also, what are some of the things I learned through this month of decluttering? And what kind of tips would I be able to share with you if you would like to start in February by doing a declutter challenge like this? Or what are some of the funny things that I found that I wasn't expecting to find while I was doing this? And then also a picture or a video of some of the things I got rid of and what I threw away. So that's what's in store for today. Come along and join me. So what did I declutter this time in my effort at completing my January declutter challenge? Well, as you can see from my page, in my first round, I decluttered primarily clothes, shoes, jewelry, things like that. But as I kept on going, I ended up decluttering more of my closet overall. And to be honest, my closet was pretty bad. We don't have a whole lot of storage in this house. And so everything gets put in our closet. We have a larger master bedroom closet. So there's things like suitcases in there and bins of clothing that don't fit any of my children right now that they're growing into. There's an extra bin of my clothing. And then there's all kinds of other things like homeschool material and some CDs and DVDs and shoes and you name it. Lots of paper, lots of files, lots of pictures end up in our closet. So as you can guess, my closet was overwhelming me. And I don't think it was just me. I think my husband was feeling that too. And honestly, one of the reasons I'm doing this declutter challenge is because I really wanted to declutter my bedroom and closet for my husband's sake. He just doesn't like stuff. He is probably a minimalist, at least if he could be, he would be. With a wife and 6 children, it's a little bit hard, but that's probably his preference. So he would prefer less rather than more. In fact, one of the quotes that my husband has really enjoyed and he likes to share with us is this quote from a Puritan writer named Jeremiah Burroughs. He wrote a book called The Rare Jewel of Christian Contentment. And how many times do you read a book on the topic of contentment? So much of everything we read and hear is devoted to causing us to want to strive for more and more and more. But this quote has really helped us, and we often remind each other of it. And here's the quote. A Christian comes to contentment, not so much by way of addition as by way of subtraction. He can bring his desires down to his possessions, and so he attains his contentment. That is such a good quote because it reminds us that contentment is not achieved by gaining all the things we want and raising our level of items to the level of our desires. It's actually achieved by lowering our desires or lowering our expectations to the things that God has already provided for us. And I think that's just such a beautiful quote and such a good reminder that contentment is not based on what we have. It's on our willingness to sort of corral our desires. And I love that. You know, one of the ways we gain contentment is not by adding to what we own, but by subtracting what we desire. And there's another thing I've learned about contentment that has really helped me a lot. And that is that in the Bible, contentment is often linked to our relationship with God. And maybe there's no better passage than that of Hebrews 13. And Hebrews 13, 5-6 says this: "Let your conversation or your lifestyle be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So that we may boldly say, The Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me." Nothing can take away, and nobody can take away, the contentment that we have in Christ Jesus when the focus of our desires is really our relationship with him. And so that's one thing that I've been thinking about as I have been working to declutter, that there's truly, I need a lot less than what I have. So what are some of the things that I found that I did not need? Okay, first of all, this is a confession, but I love paper. I love paper. I am just this year starting to use a calendar on my phone because I love paper calendars. Putting a pen to paper is the way I think. It's the way I process the world around me. So I found a lot of paper, just to be honest. And I hate throwing away paper. Like if I wrote something on that paper, it's probably valuable and I need to keep it for the rest of my life, right? So not true. But anyway, some of the things I found were notebooks, like spiral bound notebooks, full of different topics of handwritten notes, floor plans from houses that we lived in more than 3 years ago, old grocery lists, old menu plans. I found a list of houses that we were looking at when we moved here, which was 2 or 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago by now. You know, it's just amazing the various things that I found. Goal lists from years ago. So my husband and I do this thing every year where we go on a 24-hour retreat together and we just think through our goals. I found sets of those goals that had never been filed. They were just in random notebooks or maybe just loose leaf paper. It's crazy what I found. And then homeschool curriculum lists from years ago where that child has now graduated from college or is about to graduate from college. And this was, his high school curriculum list or something. So I found so much clutter. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Some of the clutter that I found that was just paper clutter. And paper clutter is really hard for me. So I spent a lot of time on that. And so when you see that I'm filling in a box for paper, that is not one piece of paper. That is like a group of paper. So I went through probably 6 or 7 spiral bound notebooks and I pulled out all the paper I had written on and I separated it into categories of what file it belonged in. And then all the trash that was left, I would throw away. Often it was the entire notebook. Like maybe there were 2 or 3 sheets of paper left in the notebook because I am a prolific putter of pen to paper. So I would then, when I threw away the notebook at the end with all the rest of the trash, that was one item. So I'm just telling you, that was a lot of effort for one little block to fill in. So that's why you may not see a whole lot of blocks filled in for paper or for office supplies. I kind of, apportioned it out depending on what it was. But that represents hours of work. There was something else that I decided, and that was that when I get rid of like homeschool papers, stacks of papers, that it would be like one class. So for instance, one of my, say it's a history class, all of the paperwork for that class is only 1 point or 1 square. Like it just doesn't seem reasonable to be doing it any other way. What's nice is that there's sort of an inverse relationship, therefore, between my coloring in a square and then my throwing something away and seeing more space in my house. So the easier it is for me to fill in a square, the less space I see in my house typically. So the bigger items, now I have a lot more space, but I only get 1 point for it. So there's sort of an inverse relationship there where it sort of balances each other out. Because although I like filling in the square, the bigger blessing and the bigger benefit and the bigger reward is simply more space in my home and more organization in my home. That really helps me a lot. the other thing I wanted to share was that I decided that if I would have kept it, if not for this challenge, then I got a square. Like if I threw something away that was legit trash, but I wouldn't have thrown it away if not for this challenge, then I could still count that as an item. But if it was something that I would have thrown away anyway, I can't count that as a square for my paper. So if it's just like true trash, like I'm just going to throw that away anyway, I'm not going to keep it. So that would not gain me a square. Those were some of the things that I considered or learned the last week or so as I've been decluttering. And I have found it really refreshing. It's so nice to look around my bedroom and my closet, and there's still more to do, but to just see order everywhere, to see extra space. It's not like every inch of every, square foot is being taken up by clutter. I have really pared down a lot, and it's amazing how even if it doesn't look like a lot on a sheet of paper, by the time I take out all the trash and donate all my donations, it ends up making a big difference in my home. And so I really want to encourage you, try this for 1 month. How about it? Let's say you don't even try it for the whole year. Let's just say you try this for 1 month and you just try to declutter for 1 month in specifically one area of your home. Maybe something that you feel is the most cluttered or problematic area, or maybe it's the easiest one for you to declutter. And just do a February challenge and just try to get your 144 items just in 1 month and then forget about it for the rest of the year. Just see what kind of a difference it can make in your life. That's one of the things I'd like to encourage you. And the second thing I'd like to encourage you is just about contentment. We have so much. We have way too much. There is no reason why most of us should not be content. And in fact, I would just like to remind us that a lot of our financial problems are because of a lack of contentment. I mean, honestly, we won't go into debt if we are content with such things as we have. We won't want a new living room. We will not go into debt for a new living room suite if we are content with such things as we have. And I talked last time about placeholder items. I could be really discouraged about that. I could look around my house and I could give into the temptation to say, well, that chair has stains on it. I need a new one. But honestly, godliness with contentment is great gain. And being willing to just live with the things that we have, take as good care of them as we can, clean and scrub, but just be tidy and orderly with the things that we have, that there is great gain for us in that. So just the reminder that our contentment is often based on subtraction, not addition. And it is just solidified by our relationship with the God who loves us. Okay, well, I hope to continue these updates, and I plan to, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you in the future. Don't forget to get your free download of this Declutter Challenge and join with me for a month. Hop on and join with me for February, and let's compare notes at the end of the month, huh?